Hey everyone, back for the next square, and this is magazine issue number 9, and it's called the Jungle Book Golden Flower Square. I am sure you will all be as ecstatic as I am to know that this square just uses one colour. Hooray! No loads of ends to weave in at the end. Last one was just a nightmare. I don't know if you can remember it, the frozen square, that was just awful. So on with this one, and we're using the sunflower yarn again. It's the one that we used for Winnie the Pooh's face. We did get a new ball of it with this issue, so you should have plenty to use. Let's get straight into it. Get your slip knot ready. So here we go. I'm starting off with a slip knot on my hook, and we are making 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're then going to slip stitch into that first chain. And there is our foundation ring complete. From here, we're going to create a bit of a circular pattern. So we're working with trebles. So we want to yarn over from the back towards the front. And then as always, just pull those stitches apart so we can find the center. So that's that hole right in the middle. We're going in there. We're pulling up. So we're going right in there. We're going in through this one, pulling up a loop, pulling through 2, and then pulling through 2. And there's our first treble. After you've done a treble into the ring, you need to chain 1. The book does tell you under round 1 how many times you need to do that. We've done it once. I'm going to show you a couple more times. So we've gone in through once. There's our next treble and chain 1. We've done it twice. I'm going to show you 4 times. So yarn over. Three trebles, 3 chains. I'll just do it once more. So there's our 4th treble and our 4th chain. Now, as I said, the book under round 1, just beside that first set of brackets, tells you how many times you need to do this. I'm going to do the rest of mine off camera, and when you've done it the amount of times it says, I will meet you back here. So I've done that the exact number of times it says to do it in the book, and then you do need to make sure that you finish on a chain. From here, we then need to join with a slip stitch into the 4th chain space. So I know you remember from the last videos, these are your chains. So I've got 1V, 2V, 3V. That can't be right. Sorry. 1V, 2V, 3V, 4V. This is the 4th V shape that I want. I want to go in through this one, pull a loop through, and then pull it straight through that other loop. And we have already completed round 1. Moving straight on to round 2, we want to chain 2. From here, we're going to treble 2 together into the space. So our space is here. So yarn over and go through into the space, pull up a loop, and then pull through 2. Now we have done this before. Do not finish off that treble because we're going to treble 2 together. Yarn over again, go back in through that space and pull up another loop. then draw through 2, and then draw through all 4, and you will have something that looks like this. We're now going to chain 2, and this pattern teaches us a completely new stitch, which is a treble 3 together. So I'm going to teach you how to do that one now. It's just one step further from the treble 2 together. For some reason, these two parts of my first one look as though they're joined together, but there should be a gap in there. Remember to count as many as there should be, as it's the amount of times that you had to do the stitches in round 1. You should have that many stitches and that many gaps in between, because we're doing it the same amount of times in this one. So we've done 1 already. So we're going to yarn over, and there is a gap here, although it doesn't look like it. And we're going to pull up a loop, so we've got 3 loops. And then pull through 2, so we've got 2 left. Yarn over and go back in through that gap. Yarn over and pull through 2 again. So we've got 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, back in through that gap. Yarn over and pull through 2. And you will now have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 4. And that is the treble 3 together. We're then going to chain 2 again. So I will show you how to do that again. Do ignore the knot I've got in my yarn there. It's just where they have joined it, where they've run out when processing the yarn. So I've done my 2 chains, yarn over, in through, pull up a loop. So we've got 3 on the hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over, back in through that gap, pull up another loop. So we've got 4 on the hook, yarn over and pull through 2, so we've got 3 on the hook. Yarn over again, back in and pull up a loop, so there's 5 on the hook, yarn over and pull through 2, so that we've got 4. Yarn over and pull through all 4, chain 2 again. Once more, yarn over, in through and pull up a loop, so you've got 3, yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over, back in through your gap and pull up a loop, so you've got 4 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2, so you've got 3 loops. Yarn over, back in through your gap and pull up a loop, so you've got 5 loops. Yarn over and pull through 2, so you've got 4 loops. Yarn over, pull through all 4, chain 2. We're now going to continue that into every space, going all of the way around. You know how many there are supposed to be because it says in the book. I will meet you back at the end of the round. So when you get to the end of round 2, we're going to do something different to normal here. We're not going to do the chains in between. We're going to do a half treble. So yarn over, and we need to go into the top of that first petal that you've done, into the top of the stitch, which is the V that you can see just there. So yarn over into that one and pull up a loop, yarn over again and pull through all 3, and then it will look fairly equal like this. And now we're going on to round 3. We're then chaining 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and it says that we need to do 2 trebles into the space. Now we're going back in to this space here, so we're yarning over, going in here and doing 1 treble, and 2 trebles. The next instruction is to do 3 trebles into the next space. So 1 treble, 2 2 treble, and 3 treble. Now I believe this is where things start to change, in that we're making this more into a square, because there is different instructions going round rather than repeating all the way around. So we're doing 2 trebles into the next space, 1 and 2. We're then doing 1 double treble into the next space. So yarn over twice and in through and pull up a loop, then pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2 again. Our next instruction is to chain 2. From here, we're going to do 1 double treble and 2 trebles into the next space. So yarn over twice, in through the next space and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And there is our double treble. And we're now going to do 2 trebles into this space. 1, and 2. We're then going to do a repeat of all that we've just done. So 3 trebles into the next space, 1, 2, and 3. 2 trebles into the next space, 1 and 2, and then we need to do a double treble into this space as well. So yarn over twice, in through and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. We're then going to reverse that for the next one, and it's 1 double treble and then 2 trebles. So yarn over twice, in through, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then 2 trebles into the same space. 1, 2. We're then carrying on with the 3 trebles into the next space. 1, 2, and 3. 2 trebles in this one. 1, 2, followed by a double treble, so we're yarning over twice, then going through 2, 2, and 2, and the next one is a double treble, followed by 2 trebles. We're now doing 3 trebles into the next space. 1, 2, and 3. 2 trebles into the next one. 1, 2, and then a double treble. Ooh. From here, we're simply finishing off by doing 1 chain, and then it says to join with a double crochet into the 4th chain. So we're counting from these ones. You can see that gap. These ones up here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We want to go in through here. And you can see now that we have got more of a square shape. So now we're moving on to round 4. First instruction is to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3. From here we want to do a treble into that corner space. From here things are going to get slightly different, so we need to be doing trebles. We're going to go into the top of the 4th chain from our last round, and then we need to do a treble into each of the next of these stitches. In fact, I can tell you, because I didn't tell you the amount for the last round, there should be 8. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. When you get to the corner, we are going to do 2 trebles, 2 chains, and then 2 trebles. So 1 treble, 2 treble, 2 chains, and then another 2 trebles. 1, and 2. There will be 9 stitches going all the way along here, so you want to do 1 treble into each of the next 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Same routine into the corner space of 2 trebles, 1, 2, 2 chains, and then another 2 trebles, 1 and 2. It's then going to be the same going all the way around of your 9 trebles and then your 2, 2, 2 in the corners. So once you get back round here to the end, I will meet you and tell you the next steps. So I've gone all the way around. I've just done my 9 trebles on the last row. We then need to do 2 trebles into this corner space. 1, and 2. I'm leaning on my spare yarn. I just need to move it a second because this is not going well. Okay, from here there are no chains we're going to join with a half treble into the third chain. So if you look back at your stitches on this one and then just count from the bottom, so you can see there we've got one V that's just slightly covered up, and then one here, and then one here, and that will be the third. So we're going in through this one. If I can get it in, there we go. And yeah, it was a half treble. So that is round 4 complete. On to round 5, we are chaining 2. And then we are doing a treble into the corner space, which is obviously this gap here. So go back in on yourself and do a treble there. It looks like this round is then slightly different to anything that we've really done before. So now we're going to chain 2 again. And we're still working into that corner space. And we need to treble 2 together into this space. So we're going to yarn over and go back in. Pull through 2, yarn over again, back in, pull up, so we've got 4, pull through 2, and then pull through 3. And it should look something like this in the corner. We then need to do that again. So chain 2, yarn over, back into that corner and pull up a loop, so you've got 3 on the hook. And then pull through 2, yarn over again and back into that space and pull up a loop, so you've got 4 on the hook, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through all 3, and then your corner space should look like this. We're then chaining 1. We need to skip the 3 chain, and by that they mean this here, because that was the 3 chains that we did on the last round. And then we are going to treble 2 together in the next treble and then chain 1 6 times. I'm having a really hard time of understanding round 5. It seems that there are some instructions missing, as per usual. So I'm just trying to go by the pictures to figure it out. And the descriptions underneath the pictures are different to what it actually says in the written instructions, which is why I'm struggling. I'm going to go back to it and hopefully make some sense of it. So we are going to be trebling 2 together and then doing 1 chain. So we're yarning over. Remember, we're skipping those chain stitches. So we're going into this stitch here. So we're going in through here and pulling up a loop and pulling through 2. We're yarning over and going back in through the same stitch, and then we've got 4 on the hook, pulling through 2 and then pulling through all 3. After that we are doing 1 chain. We're going to repeat this, but we're not going into the next stitch, we're going into the one after, so we're skipping a stitch. So we're going in through here and we're trebling the 2 together again. And then chain 1. And we're going to keep doing that all the way along to the next corner, skipping a stitch every time. And then chain 1, And it should be by the time we get to the end that we've done that 6 times. So at the moment we've done it 1, 2, 3. Remember, we're skipping this next stitch, so we're going into this one. Chain 1, there's 4 times, skip a stitch, chain 1, there's 5 times, remember to skip a stitch again, so we're going into this one, and there's that done 6 times. So we would skip a stitch again, and now we're going into the corner space. Into the corner space, you want to treble 2 together. So like we have just been doing. So there's 1. And then we want to chain 2. 1, 2, and then we're going to treble 2 together again. And then chain another 2. We then want to treble 2 together again in that same corner space. From here, we're going to skip the next treble, which would be this one, and we're going to go straight into the one after. And then it's just a repeat of what we've just done before, so it's treble 2 together, chain 1, skip a stitch, and repeat that 6 times again. So remember, we're not going to the top of this first one here, we're going into the second one. So we're going in here, and we're trebling 2 together, and then chaining 1. Skip a stitch, move on to your next one, and chain 1. That's 2. Skip a stitch, chain 1, and that's 3. Skip a stitch, chain 1, and that's 4. Skip a stitch, chain 1, and that's 5. And then skip a stitch and into our last one, there's 6, and chain 1. We're now back into our corner space, so we're going to treble 2 together, chain 2, treble 2 together again, chain 2 again, and treble 2 together again. Remember, we are skipping that first stitch there and we're going straight into this one here. So we are going into this one and trebling 2 together, chaining 1 and skipping a stitch and going into the next one, and we're doing this 6 times again. Sorry, I just knocked my camera, you saw it wobble there. So that's 2, chain 1, skip a stitch, chain 1, that's 3, skip a stitch, chain 1, that's 4, skip a stitch, chain 1, that's 5, so this is your last one, skip a stitch, chain 1, and now we get back into this corner space, so treble 2 together once and chain 2 again, chain 2 and once more. Oh, I've got a bit of a knot in my yarn. I can't remember where I got to with that stitch because that knot got in my way, so I'm just taking that last one out. So I know that I've changed 2, and then I'm going back in and doing the last treble 2 together. We're then continuing with the same pattern along here, skipping that first stitch and going straight into this one. So there's 1 done, and chain 1, skip a stitch, chain 1, and that's 2, skip a stitch, chain 1, and that's 3, skip a stitch, chain 1, and that's 4, skip a stitch, chain 1, and that's 5, skip a stitch again, so that's 6. We're then chaining 1 and we're joining with a slip stitch into the 2 chain space. Just trying to work out what they think the 2 chain space is. So I believe from the last round we did 2 chains. Why won't it focus? We did 2 chains in between these 2 petals. So we're going to slip stitch. We're just going into this one and pulling that through and pulling that through. So it ends up looking like that. And we should have this at the end of round 5. And now we're going on to the last round, round 6. I hope it's not quite as complicated. So we're chaining 3. And we're doing 2 trebles into the same space. I just had to read back the pattern because normally we would do the chains and then move backward and we'd sort of go back on ourselves into this gap. We're not doing that this time. So we've made our 3 chains and we're going to be doing 2 trebles into this space just in front here. So in through here, we want 2 trebles. 1 and 2. From there we want to do 2 chains, and then we're doing 3 trebles into the next 2 chain space, which is this space here. 1, 2. Oh. And 3. From here, we're going to be doing 2 trebles into each of the next 7 1 chain spaces. So by 1 chain, they mean the gaps in between here. And we're going to be doing 2 trebles into each gap. So 1 treble, 2 treble, there's 1 set done. 1 treble, 2 treble, 2, 1 treble, 2 treble, 3, 1 treble, 2 treble, 4, 1 treble, 2 treble, that's 5, 1 treble, 2 treble, that's 6, and then 1 treble, 2 treble for the 7th. From here, we're going to do 3 trebles into the next 2 chain space. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and then treble another 3 into the next 2 chain space here. 1, 2, and 3. This pattern is going to repeat itself the whole of the way around. You want to be doing 2 trebles into each gap, and you're doing that. There's 7, so there's 7 gaps. Then when you get to your corners, you're doing 3 trebles and then 2 chains and then 3 trebles into the next gap before you move on, and then you've got 7 gaps again where you're doing 2 trebles into each one. So if you find that confusing, just go back to the start of this round and just keep repeating it just to finish this square off, and I'll meet you back at the end of this row. So this corner finishes slightly different to many other corners that we're used to. I've just done my groups of 7 2 trebles into the gaps all the way along, and normally we do a few stitches in the corner just to finish off the space, but for this one we've already done the corner stitches, so we don't need to do anything additional here. All we're going to do is, once we've done the last 2 trebles into the 7th space, we just need to slip stitch into the 3rd chain. So we're just counting up our V's till we've got the 3rd one, which is here, and we're then slip stitching that one, and that is the end of round 6, and the square is complete. I'm just going to cut that one to fasten it off. Remember to leave enough to weave in, which will be your only end that you need to weave in this time, apart from the beginning one, compared to the last square that we had where there was absolutely loads to do. Sorry, I was just fastening that off camera. So I'm going to pull that one through, and then, as I showed you in the last video, just to make sure it's secure, I go back. Sorry, I ran out of time. I go back in through the gap and just pull up another loop and just pull it through again, just to make sure it's really tight. So there we go. That is the Jungle Book golden flower square complete. It's not overly square, this one. It's quite rounded on the edges, which is expected when you start off with a circle in the centre. Let's compare that one for size. I'm just going to get my Mickey Mouse motif square out, like I always do. I think we might be all right. Look at that. I surprise myself every time. It might be like a couple of millimeters each side slightly bigger, but I'm not worried, because you can see the yellow that side and the yellow that side when I'm holding it flat. I'm not worried about a millimetre here or there. That makes no difference. So that is number 9 complete. I now have 2 finished videos to edit. So hopefully you should get 2 videos put up quite close together. As per usual, please leave a like for me or leave a comment. You can do both if you want, that would be fantastic. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See you soon.